Hey YouTubers, this is Korikai again with another video. This time it's a vlog and it's talking about game reviews and or game reviewers. Now, I'm not trying to bash game reviews. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm just saying that you shouldn't solely rely on game reviews or the opinion of another person to purchase games. Now, not every game satisfies every gamer. Just because, and I use this opinion in another vlog, just because someone likes Halo 3 and worships the ground that Halo 3 walks on doesn't mean if you give it to somebody else they will automatically feel the same way. Everybody plays different games, everybody has different tastes. And game reviews pretty much try to, tell you what you're gonna get or what you're gonna expect before you play a game. Some sites and some magazines do a good job, some not so much, or some used to be really good and now they've gone downhill. GameSpot. But don't bash me for that comment. I used to go on GameSpot all the time, and it just seems now that they've diminished in the quality of their reviews, and they pretty much solely only work on the news aspect of games instead of reviewing games. It's not even that game reviews are totally bad. They're either done to the point where you don't care about the game. It's just some short paragraph bashing the game. And mind you, it's not I don't like this magazine either, but Game Informer, and I'm going to be using this example a lot. Game Informer, especially for a lot of portable games, they take the best game and they do an in-depth review about it, or they take games with okay scores from, I would say, 7 and up, and then any game under that they just bash and bash and bash. They're not going to tell you why. They give you 1 or 2 reasons why the game is bad in a short paragraph, and they just go on with the next game, go on with the next game, go on with the next game. It's they're paid to do one good review and everything else is overtime for them or something. It's I don't know, but I mean some sites like IGN, I go to IGN now to get all my game reviews, and I go to G4 TV to get all my game news. But IGN, even if the game sucks, they're at least gonna do one full page about why the game sucks, or why the game could be better, or why they're even playing this game, or how they heard about it, or why it's different from the norm. They other sites, they don't do that. Now, if I've never heard of the game, I'll go to Metacritic. Metacritic is pretty much this site for games and music, movies, what have you, where they'll take the scores from every reviewer and make it into one collaborative score. And pretty much, I talked about Super Robot Taisen in my last video, and it got a pretty weird score. Games that are about 70, 75 collaborative score, I kind of do a little bit of research on it before I play it. And it actually got a lot of good scores, a lot of 8s and a lot of 7s, but this one site, oneup.com, decided to give it a C grade. They do letter grades, which is totally weird. But when you look at it, they actually consider a C a 50 or something, which is really dumb. But when I looked at the review, all it talked about for Super Robot Taisen was how all it was innuendos, and all it was the battles were really annoying, and how boss battles were so hard, and it was just complaining and complaining and complaining. And then you look at the reader reviews and they're oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you're not playing the game right, blah 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 blah. See, we are the consumers. We are the people that play games to play games. We don't play games and get paid for them. So we're not gonna have a subjective opinion on how one game plays with another. See, that's another problem I have with game reviews. Game reviewers get paid to play games and write about them. So they have one good experience with a game, and then they get paid to play another game, but it's not as good as the previous game, and they're in the same genre, they have the tendency to compare that game to another game. Like, I really don't know any good references, but just like take like any off the wall RPG. Like, let's take Idra Union. Idra Union was a GBA game that was different from the norm. It's kind of like it's not card battle RPG, but you use cards and you get power from the cards, and then you go into like these really weird battles. Still a good game. Shut up. But pretty much, it got a good score when it was a GBA game, and then when it became a PSP port, it got a really bad score. And game reviews would be like, "Oh, this game isn't like your Final Fantasy." And because it's not Final Fantasy, we're gonna give it a bad score because you can't use magic like Final Fantasy, and you can't use Titus like Final Fantasy. Okay, I'm over exaggerating. But pretty much, they'll take the top-notch game or the most anticipated game, and they'll be like, let's compare this game's music to this game's music. Was it on the same level, or was it subpar, or they'll use games for reference to compare other games. You shouldn't review games based on what they're not. You should review games on what they are, what they bring to the table, and just focus solely on them. Like, if you want to compare a game to another game, you only do it from like a sequel or a prequel or other games made by that company or something like that. Like, compare it to something relevant. Don't compare like Gears of War to Halo. You can't. They're in the same genre, but they're two completely different games. They have two completely different feels. So you can't compare Sonic to Mario or Mega Man to Duke Nukem or whatever. You just can't do that. They're two different games. One more thing I have about game reviews is how highly anticipated games, no matter what they are, always seem to get really high scores. Like Halo. I'm going to use Halo a lot for reference because Halo's a really popular game. But Halo first came out, no one really knew about it, but it got a high score. And then when Halo 2 came out, like, oh, we all played Halo! Halo 2 is gonna be fucking awesome! And then Halo 2 got like 10s all across the board. And then Halo 3 came out, and it got 10s all across the board. It doesn't say anything about the campaign mode fucking sucking. It didn't say anything about it being repetitive on its third try. All it says is that the graphics are fucking awesome, and that the multiplayer is fucking awesome too. Although the campaign mode sucks, not everyone can get online, and it's repetitive, and they don't really add that much, besides new weapons and new maps. What the fuck? Are you serious? Any other game... Now, let's take Sonic. Sonic has gone downhill over the years. But when people review it, they say that it's gone downhill over the years. Or that they're using this thing too much. Or that it's becoming too frequent with this idea and they should add something new. Or that it's becoming too linear or something. Like, all the... I'm not going to say bad games, but all the under par games, or all the games that aren't as good as, like, the king games, like Grand Theft Auto, Halo, Metroid Prime, all that good stuff. Like, they target their shortcomings. And for good games, like the games I just mentioned, they'll be like, this is good, this is good, this is good. Even though it's a sequel or a prequel or this, it's still good. And blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like they'll ignore their shortcomings, or like their shortcomings would be in like a tiny sentence or hidden or something. Like, pretty much what I'm trying to say is, don't solely rely on game reviews. Use them as a reference to see if it's something you like. Don't just go for one game review. Read as many as you can and like piece together if you'll like it. And if you want a game, even if like someone's like bashing the shit out of it, still give it a chance. Don't just like solely rely on them. And pretty much that's all I have to say.